Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are going to time travel back to 1999. Think about it for a second. The internet was just starting to become a thing, and subscribing to stuff mostly meant, you know, magazines.
Right.
But we're going to look at how a massive Swedish appliance company tried to sell you clean clothes, not as a machine, but as a utility service.
That's paying for water or electricity.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to really dissect Electrolux's paper wash pilot. It was, a spectacular commercial failure.
Oh, completely.
But we'll look at the incredible thinking behind it, figure out why only a handful of people signed up, and see how this flop actually became a blueprint for the whole as-a-service world we live in now.
You know, what's so wild is just how far ahead of its time it was. This is what we call functional sales. Selling the function, the result, not the object.
The clean clothes.
Clean clothes. And they were using some of the very first internet-connected smart home tech to do it. It was like the perfect idea at the absolute worst time.
So let's start there. The motivation. Electrolux was a giant in selling products, in selling boxes. What pushed them to try something so radical?
Yeah.
Was this really about the environment?
It was, yeah. It was primarily driven by sustainability. They were trying to build a circular business model, and their research found this absolutely critical data point.
Okay.
Up to 90% of a washing machine's lifetime environmental impact happens during the use phase.
Wait, 90%. So not in the factory, but in your home.
Exactly. It's the electricity, the hot water, all of it. And they realized if we still own the machine and just charge per wash, we can actually make more money if people are more efficient.
So their goals and the customer's environmental goals are suddenly aligned.
Precisely. So they targeted about 7,000 households in Sweden, in places like Stockholm and Gotland, that were already set up with these new smart meters.
Okay, so let's get into the mechanics. What was the actual offer? How do you pay per wash in 1999?
Well, the offer itself was designed to be super simple. Electrolux would come and install a brand new, top-of-the-line, energy-efficient machine for free.
For free?
Almost. You paid a small installation fee, maybe 45, something like that. Then the price was set at roughly €1 per wash cycle.
And that €1 covered what exactly?
It was designed to cover everything, the water, the energy, which was about 1 kilowatt hour per load, and, the wear and tear on the machine itself.
But the real innovation wasn't the machine, it was the billing, right?
Yeah.
How did they track it all so seamlessly?
This is the genius part. They partnered with the big energy utility Vattenfall. The smart meters in these homes were already tracking electricity.
Right.
They just adapted them to also count how many times the washing machine ran its cycle. And then that laundry fee just appeared on your regular monthly electric bill.
Wow. So no separate subscription, no credit card, it's just there. Part of your utility.
That's just there. And since Electrolux still owned the machine, they also owned all the problems.
Meaning all the repairs and maintenance?
All of it. Free repairs, full maintenance, and they even guaranteed a replacement machine after 1,000 washes. The customer was paying purely for the service.
Which gives Electrolux a huge incentive to build machines that are incredibly durable and easy to fix.
You got it. It flips the whole manufacturer model on its head.
It sounds like an absolute dream for the consumer.
Yeah.
But that dream kind of ran headfirst into reality, didn't it?
Let's talk adoption. You said 7,000 eligible homes. How many signed up?
The enrollment was shockingly low. Out of those 7,000 homes, they got about 50 households.
50, as in 50. Out of 7,000. That's not even a pilot. That's just a book club.
I know.
What on earth went so wrong? Especially when the data they got was actually positive.
It was. The behavioral data was the one big success. Those 50 families showed that when you pay per use, you absolutely change your habits. People did fewer loads. They waited for a full basket.
So they proved the environmental theory.
Completely validated it. Usage-based pricing works. It makes people more efficient. But if the theory worked, why did 6,950 other families say no thanks? Was it just the cost?
At the end of the day, yes. The math just didn't work for your average family. At about €1 per wash, if you're a family doing 4 or 5 loads a week.
Which is pretty standard.
Totally standard. Well, your monthly fees were actually higher than if you had just bought the machine on a payment plan.
Ah, there it is, the fatal flaw. You're selling this idea of convenience, but for anyone who actually uses the machine a lot, you're paying a premium.
Exactly. Your local appliance store would offer a higher purchase plan, installment financing, and the monthly payment would come out cheaper than the paper wash bill. So for a bigger family, the choice was obvious.
They chose the cheaper path to ownership. The value just wasn't there.
It just wasn't compelling enough to overcome the cost.
So that brings us to why they had to pull the plug in the early 2000s. We know cost was a huge factor, but what was the deeper sort of cultural problem here?
The number one issue, the one they cite above all others, was the consumer preference for ownership.
People just wanted to own their stuff.
Deeply. In 1999, the idea that this essential appliance in your home didn't actually belong to you was just too weird. It was too radical. There was this huge cultural attachment to owning things outright.
The whole subscription economy mindset just didn't exist yet. We saw a washing machine as like a permanent fixture in the home, an asset.
An asset, exactly. And you couple that emotional attachment with the fact that it wasn't even cheaper.
And the whole thing falls apart.
It falls apart. There is no clear financial win to make you give up that feeling of ownership.
And I imagine the logistics for just 50 customers must have been a nightmare.
Oh, a total money pit. The tech worked, but managing the billing with the utility and having a service network on call for such a tiny group, it was incredibly complex and expensive. The whole pilot was definitively, in their words, not a commercial success.
It was just ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time.
Okay, but let's shift gears. A commercial failure, yes, but this seems like one of the most valuable failures they could have had. What was the long-term legacy? What did they learn from this?
The lessons were foundational. I mean, they basically wrote the textbook on what not to do. The first big lesson was the need for a crystal clear consumer benefit.
It can't just be a neat idea.
Right. To get someone to give up ownership, you have to offer them either incredible convenience or a really, really significant cost saving, not a cost increase.
Okay, so a clear value proposition. What was lesson 2?
Cultural and market readiness. They learned that a massive cultural shift was needed. Consumers had to get comfortable with the whole idea of access over ownership.
Which took another 20 years and the rise of Netflix and Spotify.
Exactly. They were just 2 decades too early. The market wasn't there yet.
And we know the environmental argument worked.
That was lesson 3, environmental validation. The data proved, without a doubt, that this model does work to align profit with sustainability. When you charge per use, people use less. That insight is now core to every circular economy model out there.
And the last lesson, which I think is fascinating, is how it changes the product itself.
Yes. Lesson 4, design for service. As soon as Electrolux owned the machine, their entire incentive changed. Suddenly, they didn't want it to break.
They wanted to be durable, easy to repair, easy to refurbish.
The perfect circular product. It forced them to think about the entire life cycle, from manufacturing to end of life, which is a huge focus for manufacturers today.
It's amazing how that failure really did pave the way. And now we're seeing them try again, but in a much smarter way.
They've waited for the market to catch up. They've done trials with vacuums as a service, and more recently, an appliance as a service program aimed at housing landlords.
A business-to-business model.
Exactly, because in that context, the tenant doesn't care about owning the machine, and the landlord gets the huge benefit of zero maintenance headaches. The Gotland pilot is now this classic case study that showed them exactly how to get it right the second time around.
So to sum it up, the 1999 pilot was this brilliant idea that proved the environmental case for functional sales, but it failed the commercial test. The market wasn't ready and the price wasn't right.
But that failure gave them the hard data, the invaluable lessons on where the real barriers were. It allowed the entire industry to refine these models and wait for the world to change.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, our listener. We've all gotten used to subscriptions for our music, our movies, even our cars. But think about your own home. Where are you still attached to owning a physical product when maybe, just maybe, a service could be cheaper or more sustainable? Has that cultural need for ownership from 1999 really gone away? Or is there still a part of us that just wants to own our stuff? Think about that difference between having access to something and actually owning it. We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of our Digital Servitization Exchange podcast. We hope the insights sparked new ideas, challenged assumptions, and brought clarity to the evolving world of service and digital-driven business models. This podcast is grounded in extensive research across various fields, drawing on years of academic work, case studies, and cutting-edge publications. It also shaped by hands-on experience of our collaboration partners, whose real-world challenges and successes help us to translate theory into practice. If you enjoyed the episode, consider following the podcast and sharing it with colleagues who are navigating the civilization journey. Your support helps us continuing bridging high-quality research-based and practice-proven perspectives straight to your ears. Thank you for tuning in and see you in the next episode.